So that's a good program for those who are young attorneys and those of us who wish we were young attorneys. I want to take this opportunity to introduce our keynote speaker for the night, Attorney General Grewal, who is a favorite son of Bergen County. You all know that he is currently the Attorney General, and you also probably know that for 2 years he was our Bergen County prosecutor. It's a shame he had to take a step down to go to the Attorney General's office. But prior to that, General Grewal was an assistant U.S. attorney for almost 12 years. He served in the Eastern District of New York and then in New Jersey, where he was the chief of the Economic Crimes Unit for 2 years. Those of us who know him are impressed by his legal acumen, by his leadership, and mostly by his real passion for public service. So I'll introduce General Grewal.
Thank you, Andy, for that introduction, and thank you to the Bergen County Bar Association for not just the invitation, but for all that you do to support lawyers in this county, to improve their lives, and to put on trainings like you did today. It is really an honor and a privilege for me to join you, and as I was talking to Jeremy Feigenbaum, who's counsel to me, I was reminiscing about how I grew up not too far from here. I grew up in Washington Township, and so I grew up riding my bike past seasons to go play tennis right next door at the racket club, and at the Five and Dime I would play video games. And to think about where I was and to where I've arrived or where I am now, I mean, if you asked me back then, I wouldn't think this was possible for me. So it's a little bit humbling to be here with that sort of nostalgic, that nostalgia that I'm feeling right now. I was asked to speak a little bit about professionalism, and what I thought I'd do is share a story with you. And it's a story from when I was a young prosecutor. As my wife says, I've never really had a real job in my life. I've always been in public service and been a prosecutor, as you reminded me, for over a dozen years in different districts. But when I was a young prosecutor in 2005 in Brooklyn, at the Eastern District of New York, morale was at a low at the Department of Justice. There was a transition between attorneys general from Ashcroft to Gonzalez, and there was a feeling that the DOJ was becoming politicized, much like it is today, I imagine. But this was back in 2005, and so then Deputy Attorney General Jim Comey was making his rounds to a lot of the U.S. Attorney's offices. And he was visiting with the line prosecutors just to really reinvigorate them a little bit. And he shared a story, and this is a story I've shared in other venues, and it's something that has just stuck with me. And I think it speaks to the role of professionalism in the law. And when we were at that sort of low point in morale in that office, he reminded us of how special a career we had. What an incredible gift we received by becoming prosecutors. And he talked about the fact that this is a gift that we might not have realized that we had received until the first time we went to a dinner party like this and we told somebody what it was that we did, that we were assistant U.S. attorneys, and then you would almost see people hang on your every word. Or it might be a gift that you realized the first time you went into court and you had a tough argument with opposing counsel, and it was a close call, and you would see that the judge just sided with you. Or you might realize that the first time you were sitting with a victim to a crime, and they just felt like they could open up to you. And Comey said that gift, which we received when we became assistant U.S. attorneys, was a reservoir of trust and credibility. And it's a reservoir that was filled by all the good deeds of the assistant U.S. attorneys who had come before us. People whose names we would never know, people whose stories we would only hear about in the office, people who did their jobs the right way each and every day and made small deposits into that reservoir of trust and credibility. And it was that reservoir that allowed us to do all the good that we were able to do during our careers as prosecutors. And Comey also reminded us that the thing about reservoirs was that while they might have taken lifetimes to fill, they could be drained in an instant. The minute we cut a corner here, the minute we were a little bit fast and loose with an adversary, or the minute we weren't completely straightforward or candid with the judge, And so he said our job as recipients of this incredible gift was to pass that gift down, that reservoir more full than we found it, to the next generation of assistant United States attorneys that followed us. Now, if you ask me, I think that analogy, that reservoir of trust and credibility, applies in full force to the practice of law. It's not limited to prosecutors. I think that in this county, given the relationship between the bench, the judiciary, given how small the legal community actually is here, I think all of us who have gone through that crucible of law school and gone through the crucible of the bar exam and character and fitness, and then joined law firms in this county, law firms with extraordinarily excellent reputations, who have been selected to become associates and then partners at these law firms, receive a very similar gift. And those reputations precede each and every one of us when we go into court, whether you're from Harwood Lloyd or Breslin and Breslin or Curtin Burstein or all these incredible, incredible firms with long histories. That's what you carry with you when you walk into court. So I think when you ask me about professionalism in the practice of law, I think it means guarding that reservoir. And you guard that reservoir by practicing with integrity. You practice law with honesty. You treat your adversaries with civility. And I think there are no better examples of that practice of law in that manner than the recipients that we honor tonight, Jerry Breslin and Tom Boykin. That's what they've done. They've taken that incredible gift and now they leave it to the next generation of lawyers in this county more full than they received it. And so that's what I leave you with, all of you who attended this seminar today. Do everything you can to make small deposits in that reservoir of trust and credibility. Do everything you can to guard it. And do everything you can to leave it more full to the next generation of lawyers than you received it. So I want to congratulate Tom. I want to congratulate Jerry, although I will say, Jerry gave me an envelope today. And that's not something you should do in New Jersey, to give an envelope to the Attorney General, but I'm assuming that there's just a very informative letter in here, and not anything of any monetary value. But again, it is an incredible honor and a privilege to have joined you tonight. And listen, anytime I could skip a 93-mile ride to Trenton in the morning and just stay in Bergen County, I'm all for it. So invite me back again. I love spending the day up north. And again, best wishes to you, Andy, as you lead this bar organization, and best wishes to all the members here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, General Grewal. It's always a pleasure to have you here back in Bergen County. I probably wouldn't be appropriate to say we miss you, but we do miss you. It's nice to have you around. It's my job to introduce the recipient of our Albert Burstein Attorney Public Service Award for the evening. And frankly, the award to Michael Jerry Breslin is a natural as the first recipient of that award, which is named after his good friend Al Burstein. Al had a long legal career that was rich in public service and in political involvement. He was 10 years in the state assembly and served as majority leader. He served after that for decades